episode 131.
All right, and so what are we talking about today?
Our topic today, we've asked this question more than once over the years, but because we're finishing up a funk album, we thought it was pretty appropriate to ask now, is funk music dead? And I guess more specifically, new funk music, I guess that kind of...
Yeah. I mean, what is that? You know, I mean, because maybe like funk music in the way that we got to know it, you know. You know, maybe that's dead, right? You know, but maybe it's more like, oh. You know, Uptown Funk. Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure if that's the right key, but you know, whatever.
Okay.
But you know, so maybe that's.
Yeah, because we just actually saw somebody who was talking about this great funky part in the Jonas Brothers record where they were like, "Oh my goodness, like this is like some stupefying funk," and it's like, I mean, it's pop. And it might have a little leaning of funk, but it is not gut bucket the way they were making it sound like this is James Brown best kind of funk, and that's not usually what we think of.
Yeah, it's sort of like that's not the funk that we grew up with, Oh. Skin tight, you know what I mean? You know, so that's the kind of stuff that, I kind of grew up as far as what was funky, you know, and so to kind of hear that the Jonas Brothers are funky
is exemplifying funk. Also, even when we're in the middle again of about to release a funk record, and we're looking for Spotify playlists. A lot of the playlists that I found that label themselves as funk, well, one, either it was all the oldies, right? So it's things from the 70s and 80s, or it was dance or international music that, I mean, I don't know if they consider it funky, but that's not what we're calling. No, not what I typically would categorize as funk.
And let me dispel this right now. So what we're not saying is not funky is that I'm not trying to say that if you're white, that automatically that means you can't be funky.
Right.
So let me dispel that. So like one of the funkiest bands I knew from the 70s was the Average White Band.
Right.
Very, very funky. And another band I give credit for doing some funky stuff is Volpac.
Oh,
I think they've done some, I think Joe Dirt is like one of the funkiest bass players I've ever heard. So this just has nothing to do with it.
Red Hot Chili Peppers. I mean, there have been numerous
some really funky
things
stuff
that we consider to be serious funk.
Right.
So
I'm not saying that the funk has anything to do with whether or not, you're black, white, whatever.
Right.
So that's not what the argument is.
No.
As much as it's sort of like, as we've gotten further down the line, there just hasn't been like a replacement Chili Peppers band out there, a replacement, Prince or somebody like that who have, who kind of consistently kind of does funky stuff.
Like Rick James.
Or just an evolution of the funk. And sometimes it's really like just, to me, it's like, just playing bass lines that you can just really remember and are just integral to the groove of the song. And that's something that I think is a bit of a lost art. I hear a lot of bass players that are out there now. A lot of the gospel bass players are magnificent bass players as far as all the different runs and the stuff that they do. It's incredible, but it's not necessarily funky to me. I mean, is it soulful? Yes. I mean, hey, it's definitely got that aspect to it. But, Motown was very soulful, very rhythm and blues, very all of that. But Motown wasn't necessarily funky, so I mean Stevie got there, and again, it doesn't have to come from the bass. It can come from that, like the funky clavinet lines that he did for Superstitious, Higher Ground, and the rest of those type of things. So I mean, it's like the earmarks of the funk, as Bootsy would say, is the one, and it's the syncopation in between, and that's all that makes something funky. You can and I kind of disagree with Rick Beato on this. I think you can quantize something and it can still be funky.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because it all depends on, how things are just kind of laying and how the groove is happening,
and I guess the bigger question is in trying to target people who would be most likely to be our target market for this particular record is so the people who loved all those classic funk hits and Word Up and, and Ohio Players and Sly Stone and all that, are they dead? Are they too old to care? Yeah. I mean, somebody's listening to those playlists. Do they want to hear newer incarnations?
And that's the thing. It's sort of like we used to have so many different incarnations of the funk. I mean, there are so many different guys that were out there, whether it's the Brothers Johnson, the Isley Brothers, Earth, Wind and Fire, you mentioned Ohio Players, the Commodores, songs like Brick, She's a Brick House, all of these songs that, we kind of came up with, and just different variations of the funk, Parliament Funkadelic, of course.
Yeah.
Play
that funky music.
Right. It's just all these different incarnations of the funk, and it's sort of like, when you've kind of seen that aspect, I guess, kind of evaporate, and it's kind of subsumed in, I guess, certain aspects of electronic music, but it doesn't feel like an evolution of what we've known as being
And that's
funky.
what I'm saying. I just can't believe that. I mean, whether it's people our age or people who just appreciate that sound, that they don't want to hear anything new. So that's why, I guess that's why we're sifting, trying to find where those people have landed. Because I just heard something that asked, is Brazil the new funk capital? We know, like, the SEMA Funk group, they're doing the James Brown, but they're doing their version. So maybe we need to be looking at more Brazilian playlists.
Maybe it is like other places that have now kind of taken it, and and again, this is an aspect of the appropriation argument that again, it's sort of like sometimes you need appropriation in order for art forms to live.
Yeah, that's true.
Because sometimes the people who created them. Treat these art forms as a bit disposable.
Right. Yeah.
And so it kind of takes other people who kind of say, oh, wait a minute, I see some value here.
Yeah.
And they kind of grab it and inject it with what they're doing.
Yeah.
And, kind of make something or evolve it, to some other place. So again, I'm not even trying to say that in order for it to be funky, you've got to be replicating what was done in the past.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's one way to do it.
Right.
But that certainly is not the only way to do it.
And I guess our big final question is, are you aware of something that we haven't touched on that we are overlooking?
Right. Yeah.
As far as where that you see that funk music has evolved but still retains, I guess, that flavor. Enough of the flavor that we can actually consider funk and not simply pop with a little funk.
Right. So, I mean, for instance, a lot of Dr. Dre's early records, and a lot of it is because of the fact that, they relied on samples from George Clinton and that type of thing, and definitely have the funk, right? Mm-hmm. But, one that probably didn't, and I'm not sure who produced it, I think it was from Tupac's All Eyes on Me, How Do You Want It, that he did with Jodeci, and that song.
Right.
It's funky.
It is.
You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Or even get the dirt off your shoulders.
Yeah.
From Timbaland and Jay-Z.
Yeah.
That's a funky groove.
Yeah. That
is funky.
It is.
So again, but I'm not hearing a lot of even that out there anymore. So again, it's kind of like that's why we're asking the question.
Right.
Has it?
Because we want to reel you in. We want to, first of all, we want to see what you can bring to us that maybe we don't know about.
Right.
And then the other part is we want to see, hey, if you feel like you're ready for a new incarnation of it, we want to provide you with an option.
Yeah.
That is.
Maybe you're doing it.
Right. Maybe you are. We want to know.
Let's hear it. Let's
Let's join together. Let's make a funk movement.
Right. Yeah. That's cool.
All right, what are your thoughts on it? Again, if you have some examples that we might have overlooked, please leave it in the comments below. Funk album is coming up next.
Yeah, it's coming up next. So
we are working on it now. We will have a timeline and a whole spiel about it once we get everything locked in. But if you dig the vibe, be sure to
subscribe.
We're wishing you love, peace, and
chicken grease.
Yeah.